Just a couple of redneck amigos full of BS reviewing bourbon, tequila, rum, beer, and more. Boozy Spirits.
How y'all doing today?
Doing good. How are you?
Doing good. So we're here with Rob from Wonderbird Spirits. He's got some gin we're going to try out. He's got the, tell us about this one, the Magnolia Experimental.
That's right. This is our, we call this our Magnolia Experimental because during COVID, we had a lot of extra time on our hands.
Just to mess around.
And thought, my God, we're from the Magnolia State. And up there in Oxford, there are just granddaddy magnolia trees everywhere you are, even on Ole Miss's campus.
It's everywhere.
Could we ever get, that incredible essence of Mississippi magnolia into a gin?
Awesome.
And no one's ever done that before. So let's give that a run. And several months later, after a lot of tailoring and building and thinking, this is what we ended up introducing to the market. We made 732 bottles on the first run because we didn't know if anybody would like it.
It set off or not?
And it was a smash for us. So we now make this. This is one of the two expressions that we make full time.
Okay.
Now, you probably would understand this right away. There are only about 3 weeks a year where the magnolia is at the height of their bloom. Because what we're doing is taking those big bows, right, and deconstructing them and distilling those fine white petals, usually the day that they're reaped from around people's backyards in Oxford. So it's really a 3, maybe 4 week period where we can make this gin.
Oh, wow.
And that's why it is a bit of a limited release. And
cool.
Until the next spring, we just have no
Go
more.
run around people's backyards and steal their flowers.
Exactly. A lot of times we'll go around with cases of our flagship gin, number 61, and say, "May I go in your backyard and take your magnolia blossoms if we give you a little treat here."
That's a good trade-off.
And people are excited about it, right? Because when they have the magnolia gin and they think that some of their flowers became part of the gin, it's really a beautiful thing.
Awesome. Very cool. I'll get you pour us all a little sample of it, and we'll go around and introduce our other guests. We have Ashley here with MadVines Spirits.
Hello.
And Ivy, you're the sales manager, right?
That's right. Yeah, I run sales for Wonderbird in a couple states here in the Southeast.
Okay, awesome. And y'all are out of Oxford, Mississippi, correct?
We are from Oxford, Mississippi, technically Taylor, Mississippi.
Okay.
Which is about 8 miles down a beautiful country road from the square in Oxford, which is
awesome.
what most people know.
Yeah.
And we have been in business since we made our first bottle in May of 2019.
Awesome.
So, and with COVID included, it still feels like we're fairly fresh on the scene.
Yeah.
We're a gin distillery.
Okay.
That's what our total focus is. A lot of folks, produce a gin or a vodka or a rum on the way to trying to be a whiskey house. We want to be known as gin guys.
Okay.
Right? We're building a gin house there in North Mississippi for the duration.
Okay. So you don't have plans to, like you said, branch out like other people trying to get in the bourbon industry, or just sticking with one?
We absolutely love gin, esteem gin. See its centrality in classic cocktails.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
From a maker standpoint, creativity standpoint, once you've introduced that 4-note of juniper, right, which is what defines gin as a class, the latitude to make something completely, unusual and singular, one of a kind, is virtually limitless. And so that really got us fired up. Awesome. So yeah, we want to make world-class gin from rural Mississippi.
Awesome, I love it.
And I think you may know this part of our story, but we're a truly grain-to-glass gin.
Okay.
Meaning, a huge percentage of distilleries, and there's nothing wrong with this, are buying neutral spirit from, big factories, effectively in the Midwest, where corn and wheat are overly plentiful.
Yeah.
We said we're from a truly legendary agricultural state. Let's find something beautiful to ferment on and create our own raw alcohol.
Awesome.
Right? And in that way, really stamp this,
Yes.
Again, as like being a truly, truly handmade.
I got you. So you're not sourcing any
local
alcohol or
product.
nothing.
So this is one of the monster differentiators for our product. We go down to the Mississippi Delta, about 55 miles away, every week and buy thousands of pounds of jasmine rice.
Oh, wow. Awesome.
From this incredible culinary rice farm down in Tallahatchie County called Two Brooks, and render that into a raw sake. Right, using very traditional sake making methods, inclusive of bringing koji over from Japan and propagating that in house as well. This is only the third rice-based gin in the world. The other two are from Japan, so very tiny category, and that rice has a defining impact on the product. I just poured for us. Maybe we should have a little taste.
Yeah, a little taste of.
But there's
I already beat y'all to it.
there's a creaminess and a mouthfeel, a weight to the liquid that's attributable to that rice. There's natural aromatics from jasmine rice that we all know from the culinary aspect.
Oh yeah, my wife loves cooking with jasmine rice.
It's just, and there's a cleanliness to it, something we're very proud of. Cheers.
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 Gross.
So this is the Magnolia experimental.
Exactly.
Yeah, you can really taste the floral aspects coming out of it.
Without a doubt.
It's so pretty. I
is.
always got to brag on Wonderbird. Of course, I'm the rep for the brand MadVines Spirits. We distribute Wonderbird in Alabama. But just personally, I'm such a huge gin fan. It's my favorite spirit, and I've had many, many gins. Used to manage Linnell's Beverage Boutique in Birmingham. She's known for having a big gin tub, so I've had gins from all over the world. And I mean it when I say Wonderbird gins are in like my top 3. Like, it's one of the finest gins I've ever had.
Yeah, that is really, really smooth and has you could just drink it straight.
Ashley, thank you for those kind words. Coming from you, that means a lot to us.
Yeah, and it's
really
one
is.
of maybe 2 that I really enjoy just sipping on its own. I love
Yeah.
gin, but typically I want them mixed in a cocktail.
One of the classic cocktails.
But there's so much complexity and aromatics to their gins that it's just gorgeous
And it
to
doesn't
sip
have
on its
that
own.
like real strong ethanol like some of the commercial gins have, where I need to pour some olive juice in there and mix it down.
And look, you guys are saying really nice things. We sure appreciate it. The quality level is really attributable to the fact that this is a handmade
Yeah,
product,
for sure. Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
And we take great pains to make it as good as we can in every way. If you know anything about how gin is made, it's the infusion of an array of botanicals.
Okay.
Starting with that juniper, right, that creates a unique, complex spirit. We do each of our botanicals in individual micro distillations.
Okay.
So, again, the average gin, all of the botanicals, so those are leaves, roots, berries, etc., are put into the gin basket at one time. The alcohol's vaporized, it rises through that basket.
Gotcha.
The essences of those things are imparted to the vapor. It hits a
Does
condensing
it
column.
all at once.
They're all done at once. We do ours individually because we believe we can get the essence of that one thing more precisely doing the infusions individually.
I gotcha.
And then we blend them after the fact. So you see here on our flagship, that's called number 61.
Okay.
That tells you that that's the 61st combination of our 10 botanicals
Okay, cool.
that we got to during recipe development. 97 here on the Magnolia indicates the same thing.
Okay, I gotcha.
And again, what I'm trying to convey is that this is truly a handmade product.
Yeah.
And when you guys say nice things about how it's quite sippable, just neat unto itself, that means a lot to us.
And I know a lot of stuff isn't just straight out of the bottle neat, you need ice or something to mix it with, but you could just drink that, sip on it all day, and it has that elegance to it.
Thank you.
I don't feel like I'm in college trying to shoot it or nothing.
Yeah, and that's the thing, Justin, you and I talked about that before. a lot of people think gin and they're instantly like, oh, no, I don't do gin. Well, everybody just kind of defaults to thinking about that really horrible pine saw like
for sure.
gin that they had when they were younger, or maybe grandma or grandpa's really bold, heavy juniper forward gin.
Some of the Seagram's gin.
Or, you know, just where it's just dominated by juniper. And so once you give gin a chance and kind of you start to discover that there's a lot going on with gin these days. There's so many different styles, and the botanical Hendrix, of course, is famous because they were one of the first to do what they did with all the floral notes and dial down the juniper, and that's made them who they are. And so once you start giving gin a chance, you discover that there's a lot of
nuance,
beauty, a lot of nuance. Just
something a little different about it.
And one of my favorite things about gin too is, you know, you can try different botanicals that are maybe grow on one island in the world that you'll never go to in your life. You'll never have that fresh, but you can discover maybe some notes of it in a spirit. And so I love how each different gin, you just get to try things that you've never heard of.
That's very cool.
Well, it's so cool that y'all are saying that because, as I said here in our flagship gin, number 61, we've got 10 botanicals. Like I said, they're all done individually. 2 of those 10 botanicals are foraged from our property there outside of Oxford. Yeah. Red clover tops, which grow wild all over Mississippi, all over Alabama. You see them in the highways. We cut those stems and desiccate those little flowers and infuse that into our gin.
Excellent.
We take a little green pine shoots from a little loblolly pine in our back pasture. We infuse that into our gin. And so the idea there is, yes, introduce these unusual things that people might not have ever had. We can, of course, get them anytime we want. With someone in New York, someone in California, someone abroad. These are really unusual essences that are being infused to the gin. That's the idea of a terroir stamp, though, right? Like, this gin can truly only come from one place in the world, and it's our distillery outside of Oxford, and that's something we're proud of as well.
I think it's really cool. You locally source everything too.
As much as we possibly can.
Yeah, of course.
All the way to having our still fabricated in 8 Mile, Alabama.
Oh, cool.
And something that we're proud of, right? Most folks are going to get a still from Switzerland or, you know, elsewhere in Europe. We found a guy outside of Mobile who convinced us that he could make us a good machine, and he did. So we've tried to keep everything as local as possible. Absolutely.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And like I said, I've never had a gin I can just sip on by itself. It's always like, okay, that's a gin. It's real ethanol-y. Like, let's mix it with something because I like martinis.
Yeah.
And then Ashley came and she showed. We were talking about tequila and mezcal because that's I own a Mexican restaurant and some bourbon. And she's like, actually, I got this out of Mississippi. And she let me try it. I'm like, that's really fucking good. Like, I was like, you can just sip on that. And I think I actually found in the parking lot. I was like, hey, can I have that bottle?
I sent him with some to play with.
I was like, I don't know if it was in the store here or not, and I didn't want to buy a whole case of it just yet. I was like, can I have that bottle and take it home and try it?
Without a doubt. And we love sharing it because we believe in the juice.
It's really
when
good.
someone like you gets a chance at it, they're like, man, that's good. Let's get some more of that. These were both built as martini gins. First and foremost, that was our North Star in building these.
And I haven't even tried it in martini yet because at home I just sip on it, and I was going to make a dirty martini. I was like, no, I don't want to mess it up.
Well, that's a controversial topic, right? I think it's even more controversial. A lot of people order a martini and assume it's going to be vodka, right? But we all know martini is first and foremost a gin cocktail.
Yeah.
And you should have your martini as you wish. But we do think, look, we've taken such pains to make this a beautiful spirit. Don't dilute
you don't want to enjoy
juice, right?
Yeah.
Right.
That's what we do a tequila tasting at my restaurant, and people always like, "Where's the salt? Where's the lime? Where's the ice?" I'm like, "No, you need room temperature. Sip it straight. Like I teach them how to swirl it, how to smell it.
Sure.
I was like, you need that. These are good tequilas. It's not crap. Like
it's not a salt tasting.
Yeah.
We're not here for that.
Same with this. Like enjoy it. Don't just you want to try this gin. Immediately go and mix something. Like, no, enjoy it first, taste it, get the aroma. If you don't like it like that by itself, mix it with something, but at least taste it first.
Try it
without question. And I will also say, The quality of the gin lends itself to lots of cocktailing, but you don't have to get super fancy. There don't need to be 12 elements. It doesn't need to be a 30-minute kind of cocktail. You can take it neat, as you said.
Yeah.
You can make a pretty basic martini. You can make a pretty basic highball.
Yeah.
And you don't have to, like I said, have 8
Go crazy.
modifiers and
Yeah.
all this kind of crazy stuff.
We got to mention French 75 now.
Oh, big time.
Can't discussion has to involve that Wonderbird and a French 75.
We believe in that
Yeah.
so much, and one of the reasons, Ashley, is because we use fresh Meyer lemon peel that we fly in from Southern California.
Cool.
And so in a French 75 with a nice long peel, it really brings out some of that bright citrus.
Yeah.
I think citrus and effervescence are two things that this gin function in really well. And so our French 75 is a really beautiful vehicle for our spirit. And like we were saying with the sippability of this gin, I think that approachability and ease of drinking is something that was very important to us. Like we wanted to have something that was not only going to be really beautiful in a lot of different cocktails, but have just an approachability to it. And that's important because also what Ashley was saying about this idea of like having these gins early in life and having a bad experience, it's very much a Venn diagram of
Absolutely.
big, robust, dry, very juniper forward gins, which we love and appreciate. But, as a rice-based spirit, that's not what we're here to be. We're happy to be a Southern Botanical, and I think that it is. You have too much of it, it's too dry. You're at a young age and you have this aversion to gin for a long time, and I think that that's kind of closing a door off to a spirit style that is diverse and is nuanced and has a lot of variety. So we're happy to be bringing a new gin to market and really getting to bring some people on board for it.
Yeah, I love all that you said because we're doing like the same thing with tequila. It's like I said, everybody's like, I give them 4 shots of tequila, different brands, and they're like, "Where's the salt? Where's the lime?"
Yeah.
I was like, "No, you have to enjoy it. It's not like you said. It's not."
We'll have to start calling them sips or tastes.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
you call them a shot, you're kind of like you're like creating that environment
Yeah,
for
exactly.
them, right? So
Yeah.
you just got to use different verbiage.
That's what we call it, the tasting experience.
There you go.
Well, you mentioning tequila, and it's got me thinking, in light of what we were just discussing, what we have done over the last year is we've started putting our gin in various barrels.
Okay, awesome.
So the idea is, hey, our gin's got this beautiful mouthfeel, this beautiful botanical complexity, kissing it with a pedigreed bourbon or whiskey, introducing some caramel, introducing a little vanilla and bourbon spice, etc. Could be a beautiful thing. Let's experiment with that. Where I'm headed, however, is that the biggest liquor store in Oxford came to us recently, and they had an incredible Race Sol tequila barrel, and so we just started a rest with that.
Oh, wow.
About 40 or 50 days into that, and it's giving off some really beautiful and early indications.
Oh yeah, I bet that
So
sounds amazing.
we're excited about that. Next time I'm in town, I want to make sure that you get a sip of that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Given what
Sounds-
you've been telling me about tequila, for sure.
That sounds incredible. Do a lot of people do the like barrel aging gin? I've never heard of that.
It's a developing category.
Okay.
Yeah, it's definitely growing.
It's obvious to someone like you, but just to the layperson, this is not a scaled thing. We're talking about individual barrels.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So 53-gallon barrel, we're putting 50 gallons in it. It's going to yield
Couple
somewhere
hundred bottles.
around, like you just said, 160, 170 bottles. That's it.
Yeah.
They're super fun.
Oh, yeah, I
They
bet.
allow us to, flex our creative muscles. Some of the products have just come out incredibly well.
That's awesome.
And it's got us excited about the future. We've laid down a couple more recently. And maybe in a huge success, we might not be doing one-offs. We might find ourselves with 20 or 30 barrels from the same section of the same rick house.
Yeah, that'd be really cool.
And do them all at the same time, and then Solera them together, and
Awesome.
and then have something at scale.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
that's down the line.
Okay,
Right now
awesome.
they're one-offs, and
Yeah,
they're,
just
they're
trying.
beautiful. And I think you would appreciate this. That 160, 170 bottles, that will never exist again in
Yeah,
the
absolutely.
world. And in that melting ice cube
Yeah.
kind of way, it's so beautiful.
Oh, yeah,
that
absolutely.
fleeting, evanescent quality to it is so
Yeah, that sounds
beautiful.
phenomenal.
I will have to make sure you get a taste of one of these.
Oh, absolutely. That
Yeah.
sounds great.
Yeah.
Like we just got back from Jalisco, Mexico. We went to a distiller event, and they had it was 93 months aged in like sherry wine barrels,
Wow.
and they're like, we only got 200 bottles out of it, and like you're saying, like that's it.
That's it.
They're like, "You want a bottle?" I'm like, "Yes,
Yes,
I
please.
was like, "Absolutely."
Yeah.
I didn't even ask them what the price was. I was like, "Yeah, I need a bottle of that."
Well, that's just so special, that long of an
Absolutely,
age,
yeah.
you know. And I mean,
It's
I
amazing.
think sherry barrels also really bring a lot of neat aspects to
Yeah, they
different
did, yeah.
spirits. And you know, being in the Southeast, I think aging things in bourbon barrels really creates a handshake between these two spirits. And you know, I think most people are going to be bourbon fans before they're going to be gin
Yeah,
fans in this
yeah.
area. So it's really nice to kind of bring this product that's going to be really bridging that gap and kind of creating an olive branch between these two spirits.
Yeah.
We really like that. Plus, we love an aged gin. I've been very excited that we've been getting into this aging process.
That's really
I've been
cool. Something different.
Pumped about every barrel we do. So it's a lot of fun.
And it kind of can bring, like you say, how this was aged in a bourbon barrel. A bourbon drinker's like, okay, I'll try it.
Yep.
I don't like gin, but I'll try it and
I
maybe help
recently
expand.
we do a whiskey women event in Birmingham. There's a whiskey women
Okay.
of Alabama group, and once a month, the third Wednesday of every month, they meet up in a different spot around Birmingham. Reps, variety of reps will bring some and feature. Let me take my glasses. We'll highlight different whiskeys. So. Last month, we brought in, MadVines had just brought in products from Log Still Distillery, Monk's Road Bourbon, and Monk's Road Gin and Barrel Aged Gin. And so the Barrel Aged Gin, I snuck into the Whiskey Women event because I was like, well, you know,
Try it.
ladies, it's been in a bourbon barrel. Can I fit that in?
Yeah.
And they were like, okay, yeah. And some of them who had not had gin before or who had never had a gin they liked really enjoyed it. Because that also being in the used bourbon barrel, like kind of softens it up
Yeah.
and can
Get a little
tone
rounds it
down
out
some
nicely.
of that bite that might be remaining. Of course, Wonderbird gin doesn't really have a big juniper bite like so many do, but it still just softens it up and kind of helps meld all those flavors together. And have you ever had a Negroni, Justin?
Yes, I have.
So a bourbon barrel aged gin with a sweeter style vanilla heavy red vermouth, and then your Campari or the like is so good.
Oh, yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah, it makes it just a little bit more decadent. It's perfect for the winter, cold months. Just really gorgeous
Yeah,
together.
we do
so.
a Mescal Negroni downtown. A little different version of
Yeah.
it.
There's so many
like it.
Negroni riffs. They're fun.
We love a Negroni riff. Absolutely.
I think it'd be cool. Like she was talking about with sneaking in the bourbon aged one. If the tequila one hits off, I'll sneak it into my tasting stew. Be like, this is a surprise tequila. See what people say. Like
You could do
I
a
love
blind
it. Yeah.
tasting.
It'd be amazing to do that.
It would be, yeah.
Be amazing to do that. I was going to tell you, I'll keep the person unnamed, but we got a big meeting in Atlanta with a famous sommelier at a a 5-star kind of super sweet restaurant, and I did a full presentation. Ivy was with me. We talked about how we make this stuff, why we make this stuff. Went through everything. He was impressed with our products, and I said, "Well, I've also got this bourbon aged product." And he, kind of tasted it, and he looked down at me over his very expensive glasses and said, "How many bottles did you make?" And I said, 262, and he said, "I'll take 60 bottles." It was like it really stood out as a beauty. So we're excited about that category.
That's really cool.
And I think, it goes without saying, we're gin makers. So we're not trying to make backdoor bourbon products.
Yeah.
Right? This is our gin. It's just been really beautifully kissed by some of these pedigreed bourbon barrels.
Yeah.
It's really cool stuff.
I'm looking forward to trying that.
Yeah.
And like I said, especially the tequila one sounds phenomenal.
We'll make that happen.
That sounds good. So before we end it up, we'll go around. What's your go-to drink? Either gin or not gin?
Always gin.
Always gin.
And the truth is, at the end of a day, I'm a martini guy.
Okay.
And I love a fairly classic martini. With our stuff, you really can go fairly light on the vermouth. Of course, it depends on what type of vermouth you're slinging. But, even with a wash of Dolan, right? Or a quarter ounce, depending on your taste, it can just be fantastic.
I need to try a martini with this.
That's where I go every single time. In the winter, I do like a Negroni, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And then, as I already mentioned earlier in this conversation, I love a highball. right? They're just a little more refreshing.
Yeah.
You know, and it just depends on where you are and what your mood is. But that's where I go every time.
Sounds good. What about you, Ashley?
Well, I have 3. But martini is definitely the top. I don't spend much time mixing cocktails at home, you know, with 2 young kids. Put them to bed, and I need something quick. But I love martinis, and I love a Blanc martini. So Dolan Blanc Vermouth, which for folks who don't know, Blanc Vermouth is a sweet white vermouth. A little bit of that with some gin is just a touch sweet. The Blanc Vermouth really just highlights a lot of the soft floral, citrus, really pretty, elegant notes in gin, and so that's definitely my go-to. If I am feeling a little more fancy, which typically I would order this out, French 75s, I would have that breakfast time, brunch time, over a mimosa any day of the week. And for people who don't know cocktails, French 75, lemon juice, simple syrup, your gin, shaken with ice and strained into like a coupe or cocktail glass, and then you top it with your dry bubbly of choice, champagne or cava, whatever. And it's just so pretty. And the notes in Wonderbird, like the citrus, those delicate complexities, they just really come out with the citrus. It's so pretty. And then Corpse Reviver number 2. Because I love absinthe. So.
Stealing all my cocktails.
Am I stealing them?
Look at her.
Yeah, so Corpse
good,
Reviver number 2, which, you know, definitely ordering that one out. Let's see. Lillet Blanc.
Cointreau.
An orange liqueur,
lemon juice.
You've got lemon juice, your gin, an absinthe. I think they do a rinse
wash,
usually.
Yeah, rinse or spirits atomizer.
No, I don't pour the absinthe out. I leave that. I don't rinse and toss it. No, I leave it in there.
Yeah.
Did I miss anything? That's it.
That's
right?
it. Yeah. A little cherry garnish.
Yeah, so good.
It's good, and I think our gin plays really well with the niece. So I like absinthe or herb saint whenever I can. I'm also, like I said, I really was going to mention a Corpse Reviver, and I love a 50-50 martini with a white vermouth as well. And I think with our number 61, that really encapsulates our gin nicely. And I think that the softness and the subtle florals of a white vermouth really play nicely with our gin, and it stands up in a 50-50 really well. But I'm also a big rum fan, and in my heart of hearts, there's nothing that beats a classic daiquiri to me. I love, sugar, acid, spirit. We throw some gin in there, and it could be a gimlet. But there's just something about a classic daiquiri with a good rum that's one of my favorite drinks. Yeah,
all those sound fantastic. Now I really feel like a redneck amigo because I just like drinking tequila and straight tequila and bourbon. That's usually what I go to.
Mezcal daiquiri's pretty good too, man. You get the smoke, you get the acid.
For sure.
It's a winner. We have one of those at my wedding. My wife and I actually got married at the distillery too. So awesome. we're Very full tilt. I'm drinking the Wonderbird Kool-Aid real hard.
Awesome. I'm all in on it now too. Pretty sure I'll probably carry it at all my restaurants now. We don't do a whole lot of gin, of course, at the Mexican restaurant, but we still do a little bit of gin. We
make a mean Paloma now. I love a Wonderbird Paloma.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah, I was going to say, a lot of the aromatics, I feel like, of Wonderbird can win over.
We play well with grapefruit juice. You get that balance from the lime. And then again, effervescence is coming in again. And I just think that the nose from the rice and from our process is so nice that anytime you get to emphasize that with bubbles, I really think it really shoots for the moon. So I love a Paloma with our gin.
And I'll tell you, there are a couple of places in Oxford, Mexican restaurants that serve margaritas with our gin.
Yeah.
And there is something about the nature of our gin that really fills that seat nicely. So I would urge you to give it a shot.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to write that down, too.
I think it's delicious.
When you think about tequilas, there's citrus aspects and there's subtle florals, So, I know it seems really strange to say this, but like some of the things that are available in our gin could, pique the interest of a tequila drinker. And, not like if you like hard-aged añejos and repos, it might not be the same thing. But if you're like a strict Blanco tequila drinker, there's going to be aspects of our gin that you will find that I think that you will take a liking to.
I think that's what happened to me because I like Blanco more than any. Just a really good high quality Blanco tequila sipping on, and that's why
there's nowhere to hide. So you can't hide behind anything in a spirit like that. Like you don't have aging to fall back on. It's really just about testing your mettle as a supplier and as a producer to make a Blanco tequila. So making a really beautiful Blanco, I think, says a lot about your process.
Well, and if you don't mind me getting technical for a minute,
go ahead, for sure, absolutely.
I think this stuff is really interesting. One of the reasons that is true, what Ivy just referenced, is that, again, we're a grain to glass producer. We yield that raw sake beer. We then refine it.
Yeah.
We distill it to create our own base spirit. We don't take that alcohol all the way to neutral, 95% alcohol by volume.
Okay.
That's the technical definition of neutral grain spirit on purpose. We take it to about 93.5 because we really want to retain some of that rice nature that we admire so much. And so, again, this is going to Ivy's comment. There is a corollary kind of sense that you get from our gin with a good Blanc tequila. No doubt about it. Earthiness, if you would, that some of that umami, some of that. This is coming from the earth.
Yeah, like you said, you can't. There's nothing to hide behind. It's like it's either good or it's not good.
Exactly, but it's something we're proud of. No doubt about it.
Yeah, both of them phenomenal. Like I said, I've tried your flagship one before. I loved it, and this new one, exceptional.
Thank you.
I definitely would give them both a 5 out of 5. They did a fantastic job.
Yeah, we're really proud of both of these gins, and I think it's really cool that I love, one of my favorite things to talk about is the fact that both of these gins, we are going to the ground, we're putting hands to earth to find these botanicals. We're sourcing these, by hand with the magnolia and just going out to the pasture to get the lobelia shoots and the clover tops. And, I just think that's not happening in every distillery. I think that with when we say that we're making this by hand and we're grain to glass, like there is not an iota of a mistruth to that. And like that's something that we also take a lot of pride in, is we don't have anything we hide behind. Like we are proud of this process. We're proud of this gin. And we think that we have something very fantastic that we're making in the woods of Mississippi, and we're really, really excited to have more people learn about it.
I agree, and it sounds really fun. Sounds fun to work there. Like you said, you're going and trying to find new stuff. You're not just calling a supplier like, hey, bring me all this, bring me this. You got to source it out yourself.
Yeah. And I mean, these guys learned how to do it too. There's no master distiller brought in from the outside. Like the three owners of our distillery, like, taught themselves, learned. Awesome. I mean, we had some help from the outside just to learn to not, blow the stills up, but we certainly, they do this themselves. This is we all wear a lot of hats, so it's
labor of love.
It's a small company, but it's very worth it.
My partners got it. They went back to school.
Yeah.
That's the truth.
Really?
Right. They went back to school to figure this out.
To learn it.
And you got to take your hat. Those guys are over in Oxford right now, making sure this tastes delicious every drop.
Awesome.
Did you tell them what y'all did before? I don't know if you didn't mention
We
that,
haven't
right?
gotten there, but I do think it's, to Ivy's point, I was formerly a corporate lawyer, right, in big cities. And I finally, 6 years ago, looked myself in the mirror and said, hey, man, you want to make some changes, let's make them. And I moved from Los Angeles to Oxford.
Oh, wow.
And my very close friend, old friend, Tom Alexander, moved from Austin. He was a software engineer, right? And we met Shand Harlow, who was a businessman. And it was just three people saying, I want to take a left turn. I want to make something. I want to be proud of what I'm doing. And find some good partners and really put your back into a 2.5, 3 year, development phase. Where we didn't hire someone from Seattle to come in and make gin for us. We were like, no, we're going to learn how to do it.
I gotcha.
And then when we decided to be grain to glass, and especially when we decided to use rice, that was like a whole new thing. Because making sake is not something that a lot of people know how to do here in the States. So it is something that it took a long time. The commitment among the three of us was it won't go out of the door until it satisfies each of us, on our par of excellence. And so it took a while, but we are excited about where we've come, the two expressions we now have. Like I said, the barrel-aged stuff is also, something to take note of. Yeah. And as we progress, we'll drop a new gin one of these days.
Yeah, when it's right.
And we just went through a monster distillery expansion.
Oh, wow. Awesome.
Tripled the footprint of our facility, but maybe 10x, 12x our capacity to produce. So please come. We'd love to show it to you sometime.
Yeah. I was going to tell you, I'd love to go visit
it. It would be an absolute joy showing pros, how we do it.
That'd be awesome.
Step by step. Is fantastic, right? Cool. Because as Ivy just said, we got nothing to hide.
Yeah.
And I love even taking you down to the bottling nook because what you're going to see is we don't have a bottling machine. It's just
By hand.
fill the bottles,
Yeah.
sparge the bottles, fill the bottles, cork the bottles, put the labels on the
Yeah.
bottles, the whole deal. In a world where handmade's become a marketing term, this is truly a
Yeah,
handmade
truly
product.
they
handmade.
do everything by hand. I've liked to pick at them.
It's a real labor of love for sure.
I think it definitely shows too that it's, like you said, it's a labor of love. That's
It is.
actually handmade, not handmade. That you got a machine doing it. And I was going to touch on what you were saying, how all you came together, like just on this podcast. My partner Matt, he used to be an accountant, opened up this music store, and now we're just doing a podcast. I was in criminal justice psychology, ended up owning Mexican restaurants, and then now like we're doing the podcast on the side. So I think some of the best ones when you have people that aren't in the industry, just, like you said, come together and like, hey, let's try something.
Yeah.
Very
Can't
cool.
be afraid to pivot, man.
I know.
I really respect that too, because Ivy and I were talking about this earlier. In the world of beverage and many of the different industries, you often have people who have maybe they've retired and they've got this project. Oh, let me just I'm going to open up a distillery or brewery, and they don't have the experience, and they also either don't hire the right people or they don't invest the time and energy into learning really what you need to know. They maybe they hire the right people, and they don't listen to them, like they just play around. So for folks who taught themselves everything and really went hard at it to like give it their all, like that's a lot of time and effort and energy and money, and so like, and to produce such a great product, it shows, like it comes through. So that's what it's about. So it's really great to see that.
I love it.
Always fussing about folks who just open something up and it's put out some crap and
Yeah.
and then they go under.
I agree with you. Well, I'm very grateful that you introduced me to it.
Yeah. Oh, you guys got to mention your awards.
Oh yeah, absolutely. What you got?
Plug it.
Well,
Plug it.
thank you, of course. Everything we've talked about in this little dialogue took us about 3.5 years of our lives to learn.
Yeah.
And I really take my hat off to my partners who did the majority of that stuff while I went out and told the story. This gin, our flagship, number 61, got a gold medal from
Awesome.
San Francisco, 4 months after we dropped it. So a really big monster validation
Absolutely.
point for 3 people who had risked so much and gone on such a journey to drop a product and
really
then
cool.
and get that kind of notice,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
And what it meant was for us, we're not crazy.
Yeah, some
Right?
validation.
We're not
You're going the right
completely
way.
nuts.
At least not in that aspect.
Yes, and that was a big deal. And then, as I said, COVID kind of struck 6 months later, really putting our project on ice, which is when Magnolia happened. As I said earlier, Magnolia also got a gold medal from San
wow,
Fran.
awesome.
So both of these are gold medals. But remarkably, the Magnolia product also won Garden and Gun Magazine's Made in the South Awards.
Oh, wow.
A couple years ago. So beautiful, hundreds and hundreds of beautiful handmade products from all over the South are submitted to that magazine, impressive magazine.
Very impressive.
For their contest. There's 6 categories, everything from home decor to spirits to food, etc. This not only won the spirits category, but won the whole shooting match.
Oh, wow.
And what the judges said ultimately was, no one's ever developed a rice gin before, right from the American South, and introducing the Magnolia was a very, very cool touch. So congratulations, you've won our contest. That's a big deal for us. Very cool. Very, very big deal. We also won the best contemporary gin at Tales of the Cocktail last year, which is probably the largest mixology convention in the country.
Oh, wow.
That happens in New Orleans every July. So the gins have been recognized
very
within
cool.
the industry as being very high quality products. I'm one of these people who don't believe there's such a thing as the best gin in the world, but there are levels, and we think that we've achieved something special.
Well, especially in such a short amount of time to have those accolades and everything. That's really, really cool. It kind of shows you what you've done and how far you've come in the short amount of time.
I think it's also worth noting that at the time that we won that Garden and Gun Award, it was just the 3 guys. It was Rob, Tom, and Shan. And I mean, we've grown to a whopping 5 people right now. But I think it is definitely worth saying that award came when it was just the 3 of them. You know, just cool. Kind of figuring out what they were doing and making this gin happen. And we feel fortunate and lucky. And these guys have put together a really beautiful bottle, and we're really, really excited about it. I agree,
especially coming from all the different backgrounds and not being master distillers from your grandfather, and then you end up winning awards. Some of the biggest awards.
Those are big awards too.
That's what some of the biggest ones.
There's a bunch of awards you can always joke, like, a lot of brands will say, this award or whatever,
participation
and it's like,
award.
Who was that? And what did somebody get a
kindergarten
class
like
that voted on something,
like Toyota won so and so award, but like only Toyota wins that award. Every truck has an award
at the Toyota Awards.
Yeah,
but I will say
these awards really matter. So.
Yeah,
the awards matter as validation points.
Yeah, for sure.
But the most beautiful thing is actually to take the gins to, like I said, a really esteemed restaurant or bar in a big new city, and we get an appointment, and they kind of roll their eyes and go, "These rural dudes from Mississippi kind of thing. What's this stuff?"
Snobby.
And then 20 minutes later, they're reacting crazy.
Yeah, that's even better than an award.
That's better than the award,
for sure.
Because what that tells you as one of the makers is that this is special stuff, right? So we do love the awards, and they mean something to us, but it's those one-on-one impressions that really, put wind in our sails for the journey ahead.
Oh yeah,
and this is a big time journey.
I can feel that with our restaurants. We might win Restaurant of the Year or whatever, and it's cool. But when you have customers come in and say like, "Man, this food tonight was excellent," like that means more than a trophy or whatever.
That's the big deal.
So kind of going along with what you said. Yeah. Well, these are both excellent products. I appreciate y'all coming in.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us. This has been a blast.
Definitely.
I've always felt like I have a face for radio, so I appreciate it.
Oh, you
good.
You aced this, Ivy.
Yeah, you
Team.
it.
All right, and I have to add my little plug here.
Go ahead.
If you're in Alabama and you are a beverage buyer or an owner of a package store, or a restaurant, or a bar, and you want to carry these, you got to contact MadVines.
There you go.
We're the distributor. You can't go into ABC Sauna and just find them in there and order them. The state is changing their process for smaller brands, more specialized items. So although we have them in stock, you might log into Sauna and they're not there. To get them, you have to contact MadVines, and you can do that by emailing info@madvines.com.
Awesome. So, I'll put that in all our social media and on the video.
Perfect.
I'll put a little infographic on there, so make sure everybody get a hold of you.
Yeah.
I appreciate y'all coming in tonight.
This was a blast. Thank you for having us.
Yes, sir.
Thanks again,
Cheers.
Justin.